Mom showed up at my baby shower with my estranged sister and made me apologize to her for humiliating her at my wedding when she tried to make a move on my husband. Recently, I, 30F, made a post on social media about the person I had appointed as the godmother to my child, and that has upset my mom and my sister. I just want to know if I'm the bad guy here, or if they're the ones overreacting. My mom and my sister Monica, 26F, have always been one unit, and I've never gotten along well with them. Still, we tried to appear as a happy family, at least until my wedding 4 years ago. Obviously, my mom and my sister were invited. However, for some reason, Monica decided to try and make a move on my husband during the reception, right in front of me. We were speaking to our cousins and she was standing along with him, openly trying to flirt with my husband. Even though he wasn't responding, she just wouldn't stop. For the record, before my husband and I got together, he had actually met Monica on a dating app. They had only been on a couple of dates before things fizzled out. It wasn't serious, and it was almost a year after that when he and I finally met. For some reason, she kept bringing that up as if it was a huge deal, even though before the wedding she had never made anything out of it. I'm guessing she did it for attention, or just to annoy me. I could tell that my husband was getting uncomfortable, and so was everyone else, so I decided to address it. I totally humiliated her by calling her out. I told her that she needed to stop hitting on my husband because it made her look desperate and pathetic. I was a bit loud, so people around us heard me, not just our cousins. Obviously, she was very embarrassed. While she did not create any drama that day, later that week she reached out to me and told me she was still waiting for an apology for what I had done. I thought she had some nerve asking for an apology after trying to make a move on my husband at my wedding. We got into a huge fight on the phone that day, cussing at each other, and since then, we haven't spoken. Neither of us is worse off for it either. But my mom has been trying to get us to talk to each other for the past 4 years. She has always insisted that I should be the one to make amends first, since I'm older and more mature. She claims that even though Monica made a dumb little mistake, Monica feels bad about it. All I've ever said is that if Monica genuinely feels bad, she can reach out to me and apologize. Then I'll think about whether I really want to forgive her or not. But there is no way I'm reaching out to her first. Personally, I think that's fair enough. Anyway, so far my mother had been trying to fix things, but a couple of weeks ago she decided to show up at my baby shower and threw a tantrum because I hadn't invited my sister, nor had I asked her to plan the event for me. I don't know why she would expect that. My sister is not very good at her job. She runs an event management business funded by my mom, since my mom is a pretty successful businesswoman and can afford to throw good money after bad. That's her personal choice, but I don't want to do that. It's not like I never gave Monica a chance. I had asked her to plan my bridal shower earlier, but it had been such a boring and bland-looking event that I decided never to ask her again. On top of that, we are not even on speaking terms, so why would I consider her for the job? It didn't make sense. For months, my mother had been bugging me to let my sister organize my baby shower, since that would supposedly give us an opportunity to bond again. Just to get her off my back, I told her that I would think about it. But then, when she found out that I was planning the whole thing myself and was not going to give Monica a chance, she lost it at me and told me I was being too hard on Monica by snubbing her and refusing to support her business. I was very blunt with my mom and told her that I didn't think Monica was very good at her job. My mom then told me she would not attend the event if I didn't let Monica plan it. So that's what happened. I just wished she had stuck to her words and not attended the event. But both of them still showed up at my door on the day of. My mom started demanding that I apologize to Monica for how I had humiliated her at the wedding because, even though 4 years had passed, Monica still hadn't been able to live down that embarrassment and deserved an apology. At first, I obviously refused to apologize. But then they said they would not leave and would embarrass me the same way if I didn't apologize. I just had to suck it up and do it because that day I had a lot of coworkers over too, and I didn't want to be embarrassed in front of them. I gritted my teeth and got it over with. After I apologized to Monica, the smug look on her face made me want to slap her. Thankfully, they left right afterward. It was just an ego play to make me feel bad about myself. Even though it's been close to 2 months since then, I still haven't forgotten. That's what the post on social media about my daughter's godmother was all about. Obviously, for the past 2 months, I haven't been in touch with my mother either. She wasn't present for the childbirth, nor did she congratulate me after that. She's obviously not my child's grandmother, in any sense of the word. The one person who has been there for us all along was my stepmom. My parents got divorced when I was around 7 years old, and when I was 12 my dad remarried. That's when I met Nicole. She's been more of a friend than a maternal figure for me. Ever since my dad passed away 3 years ago, she and I have become pretty close. I always got along better with my dad, and I think we really understand each other. Even earlier, she and I used to get along well, but we're not as close as we are now. Our relationship always got on my mom's nerves because she hated Nicole and, by extension, Monica hated Nicole too. It never made sense to me because Nicole didn't ruin my parents' marriage. My dad didn't even know her when my parents got divorced. By the time my dad started dating Nicole, my mom realized she didn't want to let go of my father and had started trying to get him back. But by then it was too late, and he was serious about Nicole. They eventually got married and stayed together until he passed away. My mom and sister have never forgiven Nicole for that, even though it wasn't her fault. Of course, when I made that post announcing Nicole as my child's godmother and favorite grandmother, my mom and Monica lost it. I hadn't blocked either of them anywhere until recently because I think it's childish and immature, but a couple of days back I had to. A day after I made that post, my mom started bombarding my phone with calls and texts telling me to take it down immediately. She insisted there was no way she would allow Nicole to be referred to as the grandmother or godmother. She said my decision was really petty and spiteful and accused me of using my child as a weapon to make her feel bad. She started calling me every derogatory name she could think of. Naturally, I had to block her eventually because I couldn't tolerate it. I don't even think it's all out of spite. I really do appreciate Nicole and everything that she has done for us so far. She has been there for me more than my own mom, and ever since the baby was born, she has been coming over every day to help us out. She has shown more interest in me and my life than my mom ever has. I will admit that I made the post partly out of spite, but I definitely did not declare Nicole to be my favorite grandmother or godmother out of spite. That was genuine. Just the act of posting it publicly was a bit petty and spiteful, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I felt like getting back at Monica and my mom for making me apologize to them at my baby shower. Even now, when I think about it, it makes me really mad. I've blocked my mom, but Monica texted me later saying that what I'm doing is disgusting because, just to hurt my mom, I'm going out of my way to make such posts. She said it's not just disrespectful to our mother, it's also disrespectful to Nicole and proves that I don't really care about anyone apart from myself because I'm just a narcissist and all that matters to me is my revenge and spitefulness. It's all negative stuff like that. Since this came from Monica, of all people, I'm really stuck wondering if I did the right thing. Did I do the wrong thing by declaring my stepmom to be my child's favorite grandmother and godmother on social media just to rub it in my mom's face? My parents mutually decided to get a divorce. They had been fighting a lot when they were together, and it got to a point where it was affecting my sister and me. One day, they just sat us down and told us both that they had decided it would be better for them to live separately. After that, they had shared custody of us. We spent our time with them equally, but even then my sister preferred my mom, and I preferred my dad. It was around 2 years after the divorce that my mom started telling us she was planning on getting back together with our father. They even tried couples counseling for a while, but by then my dad had moved on emotionally, and eventually they ended their relationship once more. My mom never stopped talking about him, though. About a year after that, my dad met Nicole through his friends, and the rest is history. I guess that's why my mom can't stand her, because she thought she had an actual chance, and she thinks Nicole ruined it for her. But I don't think that's the case. I spoke to Nicole about everything since it had really been weighing on me. I could deal with the fact that Monica and my mom did not approve of what I'd done. They didn't like the post. Of course they didn't. They weren't supposed to. But then I realized that Monica did have a point. I was being sort of disrespectful to Nicole as well, because I was posting something related to her just to rub it in my mom's face. I didn't want to be that kind of person. I didn't want to use her like that. I made the post about 5 days back, and last evening, when Nicole came over and we had put my daughter down for a nap, I decided to come clean. I told her about the post, the messages from my mom and sister, and how I'd been feeling terrible. I even ended up crying, but that's probably because I've been a lot more emotional than usual lately. Anyway, she comforted me. She told me that she didn't mind and confided in me that she actually felt really happy that I'd chosen her to be the godmother and referred to her as the favorite grandma on social media, even if it was partly despite my mom. She told me that she had never spoken about it because she didn't want to be petty. Neither did she want to be the kind of person who tries to turn me against my own mother. But she hated my mom too. Of course she did, because my mom had been nothing but terrible to her and had done a great job making life difficult for all of us by turning Monica into a mini version of herself and teaching her to treat Nicole as disrespectfully as possible. It used to be a huge trouble for all of us because back when my dad was still alive and we were kids, Monica and I spent half of the month with my father. During that time, Monica would be a total nightmare to deal with around Nicole. But Nicole never lost her patience with my sister because she knew it was my mom pulling the strings behind the scenes. Getting mad at Monica, berating her, or treating her badly just to get back at the kid would only lead to more drama. It's not like Nicole was fine with having Monica walk all over her all the time, but she never said anything about it. She let my dad and me deal with it because she knew that if she tried to do something, my mom would lose her mind and start using that against my dad. Apparently, my father had confided in Nicole that he was afraid my mother was teaching Monica to be horrible to Nicole on purpose so that Nicole would be baited into lashing out at Monica. Then my mom would be able to use that to get full custody or something similar. When I finally thought about it, it actually sounded like a pretty reasonable explanation. I wouldn't put it past my mother. She's pretty clever, and I'm sure that could have been part of her plan. Thankfully, even though Monica was a nightmare to deal with, Nicole never let it get to her. She kept her cool, and it helped that my father and I were always trying to make it better for her. However, Nicole hated my mother just as much as my mom hated her. She just never spoke about it. Hearing her speak so openly and honestly made me feel a lot better, and I realized that at the end of the day, we are all human. My being petty or spiteful was completely natural, especially after how horribly my mom and sister had treated me for years. I've tried to pretend that everything is fine and that we are one happy family, just so that our drama doesn't go public. According to my mom, that would be the biggest nightmare, other people finding out that all is not fine. But I don't care what other people think anymore. I'm pretty sure that if she really didn't want other people to think that she doesn't get along with her eldest daughter, then she should have treated me better and made an effort to get along with me instead of forcing me to pretend like everything was fine for ages. Whatever, I'm done now. Speaking to Nicole about this was very freeing, and I feel a lot better. I don't feel guilty about this stuff anymore because clearly, Nicole couldn't care less about me making that post. And since she dislikes my mom and Monica as much as I do, I think she's fine with me using that post to rub it in their faces. Besides, as I had already mentioned, it was just the act of making that post that was done out of spite, but whatever I said in it, I truly mean. Now, I'm not going to allow my mom or my sister to make me feel guilty about this anymore. I've also blocked both of them everywhere because, like many of you pointed out, it's not immature or childish to block people if they're getting on your last nerve. I've already spent way too many years focusing on how they feel and trying to be a good daughter. I can't do that anymore. Right now, my only priorities are being a good wife and, even more importantly, being a good mother. It has been 2 weeks since my mom and Monica started trying to contact me, and I blocked them. They decided to go public with this and made a really long and emotionally manipulative Facebook post against me. It's quite ironic how for years my mother pushed me to keep quiet and pretend like everything was fine, so that nobody would find out we didn't have a great relationship. Now that her younger daughter has made this post, she has nothing to say and is pretending like this has greatly affected her. In the comment section of their post, it's all so misleading and full of half-truths designed to make me look like the bad guy. Monica literally started off by saying she was really sorry that she had to put this out on a public platform but wanted to express how disappointed she was in my behavior. She claimed that for many years, my mom has been so supportive of me, but I decided to make a post for my stepmom instead. She said she has had her differences with me because I'm jealous of her entrepreneurship, and that's why I've never supported her. She claimed I always felt my mom should have invested in me instead of in her. She stated that she was even ready to overlook that, but then I stole her boyfriend out of jealousy and married him. Even then, she supposedly didn't say anything, but now she can't stand the fact that I have insulted our mom. Of course she can't, because our mom is the only reason she even has a business right now. I'm pretty sure that anyone who worked with her in the past won't work with her again since she ignores what her clients want, goes her own way, and then expects them to pay for it. At least that's what she did with me during my bridal shower. It's also very surprising that my mom is completely fine with this public post, where Monica is airing our family drama. My mom was always about not airing dirty laundry in public in the past, but I guess that rule was just for me and not for Monica. I'm not surprised at all. Anyway, I couldn't see their posts myself because I've blocked them, so a couple of family members sent it to me. Naturally, my blood boiled when I read it because you might have noticed it was all full of BS. I don't understand how my sister typed all of that, read through it, and decided it was good to go. She must have known I would see it at some point and wouldn't hesitate to call out her lies. After reading that post, I spoke to my husband. He was just as annoyed as I was. After a few minutes, I decided I wasn't going to let it slide. I started typing out my own post. I pointed out all the lies she told, like how she said I was jealous of her because my mother invested in her business. In reality, I believe it's just that she kept quitting jobs and my mom funding her business was charity, not a testament to any skills. I also wrote that I'm not jealous of her at all. I just never hired her again because she's terrible at what she does. I also explained how I hadn't stolen her boyfriend to get back at her. My husband had never even been her boyfriend. They had just gone on a couple of dates before he met me, and by the time we got together, they hadn't even been in touch. So all her ridiculous accusations were just lies. Once I addressed her lies, I also talked about how my mother and Monica showed up at my baby shower, created drama, and forced me to apologize so I wouldn't be embarrassed in front of my coworkers. After that, my mom hadn't even bothered to be there for me during labor or to congratulate me. She literally hadn't even met my daughter. Meanwhile, Nicole had done all of that and more, so of course I would appreciate her publicly if I wanted to. They had no right to try and stop me. If they felt attacked by the post, they needed to introspect instead of playing the victims. I also called out my mom for being an overall terrible person. Not many people knew how vindictive she had been after my dad got remarried. With Nicole's permission, I mentioned how my mother had manipulated Monica into misbehaving with Nicole just to cause trouble for my dad. That's how jealous and awful she had always been. Obviously, not surprising that I don't want anything to do with her anymore. It was brutal, but I think it was necessary, and I felt much better after making that post. Of course, after I made it, my phone was flooded with calls and texts from family members. However, the rest of my family is not clueless. They had some idea over the years that there was tension between me, my mom, and my sister. It had become increasingly evident since we were cold to each other at family events, despite my mother's best efforts to hide it. The posts we made just confirmed what everyone had already suspected, that there's a lot of drama in our family. After my post, people told me they were glad I stood up for myself and bothered to clarify. My sister's post seemed fishy to them. It made me look jealous and petty, which didn't align with their experiences of me. So they already doubted her claims. After reading my side, they were sure they couldn't trust her. Because my post basically exposed both my mother and Monica, my family told me they were cutting ties with them. Many of my cousins who were close to me had already stopped speaking to Monica after the wedding incident. Now, even more people would start cutting them out. They still haven't taken their posts down, though many people have called them out in the comments for lying. It doesn't matter. They can keep the post up. I know people support me now that they know the truth. I feel much better about everything. They played themselves here because I'm sure they thought I wouldn't respond and would just let it slide like always. But this time, it totally backfired, and now they're the ones getting ostracized. My husband, Nicole, and I feel really vindicated after how horribly they treated us for so many years. Now I'm going to sit back, watch the drama unfold, and see what else they do to try and vilify me.